I am buying an apartment in New York City, and a lot of people are confused on how I can afford it. And I understand the confusion. I don't like some of the comments that I get because some of them are like accusatory and like kind of mean. But the truth is I understand it. Like buying property is expensive, and I'm single, I'm 30, and I guess to some people it can look like, oh, how does she afford this? So let me just tell you so that I can clear up any confusion. Number one, my parents are not giving me any money. I wish they were. If my parents offered to give me like $150,000, I would take it. And if any of you are saying like, oh, I would never, you're wrong. If your parents just said, here's $150,000, I would absolutely take it. If they wanted to buy me this apartment, I absolutely would take it as well. Like, don't come for me. My parents are not doing that. I was not a trust fund kid. I freaking wish I was. I literally have this conversation with my sister all the time. I have an older sister. And I'm like, it's so annoying that dad didn't give us each $30 million in trust fund. And she's like, I agree. And then we'll text our father and be like, Dad, I can't believe we don't have a trust fund. And then he'll be like, I didn't have a trust fund. And I'm like, well, that's not my problem. Anyways, so no, I'm not a trust fund baby. I wish I was. I think we all wish we were. Hi, Melvin wants to say hi. He loves saying hi in my videos. Hello, Melly Moo. Anyways, here's a story of how I started saving for a house. I never thought I would live in New York City, so I never thought it was going to be an apartment. I always thought it was going to be a house. But I had this babysitter when I was a kid, and she told me, well, I probably asked her, which was probably like a weird thing for like a 7-year-old to ask, but here it is. I asked her what she did with all of her babysitting money because I knew she had a job and then also babysat. And I was like, what do you do with all your money? And she's like, well, I'm saving it to buy a house. And that like stuck in my little 7-year-old brain. And I was like, what do you mean you're saving to buy a house? And she goes, well, one day, she's 16, mind you. Well, one day I'm going to want to buy a house. And if I save money for it, I can actually buy that house. And as a 7-year-old, my brain is like literally exploded. So I talked to my parents about it. And they're like, yeah, well, if you start saving now, maybe one day you can afford to buy a house. And I was like, oh, okay. And so at 7 years old, I started saving to buy a house. And all of my friends thought I was crazy. And like most people that I knew thought I was crazy because they're like, you're 7 years old. Why are you saving money to buy a house? So my parents really instilled in me from a young age, not only through that babysitter, obviously, but from a young age, like you save your money. And so anytime I got money from like relatives or for Christmas or for birthdays or Hanukkah or anything like that, like part of that money always went into the savings account. I do know that my parents taught us very young that you save money, and if you want something, you have to pay for it. So yes, my parents were very generous and they were very kind and gave me a lot in life, but they also made me work really hard for things. So if there was something that I wanted, like I was an electronics kid. I really loved electronics. So if there was like a new game that I wanted or a new something that I wanted and it wasn't like a holiday where they could be like, oh yeah, like this is your gift, they would be like, okay, like let's talk about the cost of it and figure it out and see what you can afford. And, you know, sometimes they'd be like, okay, you buy this and we'll buy that. Like whether it be like, okay, you're buying a console, I have to buy the console, my parents will buy me the games or whatever, you know, things like that. So they instilled me from a very early age that I had to provide for myself. They obviously provided things for me. I'm not saying they didn't, okay? Don't get it twisted. My parents provided pretty much everything that I needed in life. They provided everything that I needed in life. They didn't provide everything that I wanted in life because, well, you got to teach your kids responsibility. So that's that. And the ways that I was able to save money as a kid was also privilege. Like I got allowance. So part of that money I would spend and then part of it I would save. And then part of it, because I grew up religious, we had to tithe some of it. So like 10% had to go to tithing. And then I don't remember exactly the percentages, but my parents were like, you save some, you spend some, like things like that. And then my dad worked at a car dealership and they always had like file needs, like they always needed somebody to file. And so when I was a kid, I literally vividly remember sitting in the garage of this dealership at like 7, 8, 9 years old every summer, every spring break, every winter break. Like it wasn't like my parents didn't make me. Like it wasn't like, oh, Sydney, you have to go file. It was like, well, like you're off of school if you want to go make some extra money. And my dad would tell me like, oh, you'll make this many dollars an hour. It was like a fair wage. Like he probably paid me minimum wage. I don't remember. But, you know, it would get me out of the house. I would go work and whatever. And then all of those paychecks, it was my dad just paying me, like genuinely, probably him just paying me, not even the dealership. I have no idea. But all of that money I would put into savings. And yes, over the years, I've spent some of it. I've gone on vacations. I've done a lot of things. And my life, I think to some people looks like I spend a lot of money. I live really far below my means. I live far below my means. I lived with my parents until I was 27, and then I moved in with my grandparents until I was 28. I didn't pay rent at all, which is a huge privilege. I know it's a huge privilege. I know that that's not everybody's story. It was a huge privilege. The rules with living with my parents past 18, like obviously I went to college. Not obviously. I went to college. I lived at college for a couple years, and then I moved back with my parents. The rules of living with my parents was whatever money I would have spent on rent had to go into my savings account. So I had a job. I also had a job my whole life. Like, let's back up for a second, okay? So I got my first job at 14 and a half when it was legal to get a job. All of that money went into savings and some money for gas, obviously, because I had a car and I had to drive to and from work. And then I had a job all through college. At one point I had 2 jobs through college. Just part-time jobs, nothing crazy, but that all went into savings as well. And then when I graduated from college, I got a job. I graduated in December. I was employed by January, and I was living with my parents. So all of the money that I would have spent on rent went into a savings account. Now, I feel like I never invested in stocks. That's probably my mistake. I probably should have, but I just didn't feel educated on that, so I didn't want to. So at like 20 years old, started buying CDs. And CDs are certificates of deposit. So I put money into this account that I can't touch. The longest one that I did was I bought one when I was 20 for 5 years. And it made good money, you know? I got the CD at the right time, and it made, I think, 5%, maybe 6%, which is not like incredible, but it's pretty good money. So yeah, and then I just saved a lot. And then I think people are confused on like my work status. So I worked at a car dealership for 7 years. I moved to New York City. I was unemployed, or I had a part-time job for like 6 months, and then I got a full-time job for a year. And then I quit that full-time job. I was working somewhere else part-time. I never shared about that job, and I won't share about that job. And then I work for myself now. I'm a content creator. And yes, being a content creator is fairly lucrative. What am I saying? I started doing content creation in 2021, and it didn't become lucrative or like I could actually live off of it until 2025. So literally last year. The years before that I was making okay money, but like there's no way I could live off of it. And now I'm very happy. I have a great manager who is able to get me great contracts, and I've worked really hard, and I'm really happy. So yes, that is how I'm affording a house. I've been saving for it since essentially I was 7 years old. So I have the down payment on my own, which I'm very, very thankful for. And I'm not going to tell you beyond that how much I have, because it's not anybody's business besides mine. But I have enough money. A lot of people are concerned about how I'm getting a loan. And I think there's this like misconception that like you can just get a loan. You can't just get a loan. Like you have to get approved by it. Like they look at my credit score. They looked at all my money. They looked at my money in all my different accounts. Cause like now I invest in stocks. I started investing in stocks a year ago, 2 years ago. And so they're looking at all of that money and they're like, okay, yeah, she could afford this. I'm not going to lie. My dad has to be a cosigner on it because for now, here's why. So in order to get approved for a loan, when you are self-employed, you have to have 2 years worth of tax records. I haven't filed my 2025 taxes yet. And like I said, my job, my self-employment wasn't lucrative until last year. So on my 2023 taxes, it looks like I made no money. I did make money. I was also living at home, so it was fine. I made enough money to live, whatever. But in 2024, I started making like actual money and I was fully employed. So on top of my full-time job, I also was making supplemental income through my content creation. Because of that, my 2024 taxes look like I can afford an apartment. My 2023 taxes make it look like I cannot afford an apartment. I am filing my taxes as early as I possibly can in February. I have to wait till I got all my 1099s. Once I file that tax return, I can then once it gets approved and everything through the government, I can then use that tax return to qualify for a loan on my own. I will qualify for, like, I've already talked to Melvin. He likes to bark at people now. I've already talked to the mortgage company that I'm going with, and they said, based off of, Melvin, come here. Based off of what I've told them my income was for 2025, I will get approved for a loan. I just have to have those taxes. Valid. Totally valid. So on my pre-approval that I have right now, and I'm probably sharing too much information, but I'm going to give it to you anyways. On my pre-approval right now, my dad is a co-signer on the loan. My dad is not putting any money down. My dad is not going to own the apartment whatsoever. He is just guaranteeing the loan and saying, my daughter will pay this. Okay? And if my daughter doesn't pay it, I will pay it. That is that for now. Because I'm buying it, like I'm putting offers in on apartments now, that doesn't mean my offer is accepted. So once everything is all said and done, my offer is accepted and I go through like the mortgage process, hopefully I'll be able to qualify on my own, depending on the day and time and all that jazz. If not, I am very lucky. And yes, it is a very big privilege. And I've never, ever, 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 ever once said I'm not extremely privileged. I have never come on this internet or in my real life and claimed that I wasn't privileged. I am 1000% coming at this from a place of privilege. And like that just is what it is. All that being said, I really hope this clears up some things. Yes, I am still self-employed. I run my own business. My business is me. And right now it's working out. And here's the thing. A lot of people are like, oh, this isn't going to last forever. Okay. I'm educated. Like I have a master's degree in business. Like it's going to be okay. I'm not coming at this like with immaturity or stupidity. Like I save all my money. I don't spend it. Like you guys, I live in a very normal apartment right now. I'm buying a very normal apartment or hoping to buy a very normal apartment. I don't have a billion designer bags. I'm not going shopping every day. Like, yes, I do have a shopping problem and we're not going to discuss that. But I think sometimes like people put like influencers all in the same box and I'm just not the same. Like I'm just not the same as everybody else. And I think that like everybody is so individualistic that like we can't really put people in boxes. So, and there are people that are younger than me that are doing it better than me. There are people that are younger than me that are buying apartments. So I don't know. I just think I'm trying to be open and honest to a degree that I think is appropriate, but hopefully that clears some things up. Yes, I can afford apartment. If I could not afford apartment, I would not be pre-approved for a loan. If I couldn't afford apartment, I would not be buying an apartment. I would say, a smart person. I don't want to say I'm the smartest person in the room because I'm definitely not. Okay, I'm not an Einstein, but like, I do think I'm smart enough to know whether or not I can afford an apartment. So hopefully that clears that up and maybe we can stop talking about my finances now. It makes me a little bit uncomfortable. I'm going to be honest with you, it makes me a little uncomfortable. But if you're interested in seeing the buying process in Manhattan from start to finish, go ahead and give me a little subscribe because I'm buying an apartment. Hopefully this apartment that I put an offer in on, but if not, there will be an apartment that I am buying.